Peace. In the name of Allah, I'm Ori Muhammad. I pray that everyone is well. Hempstead, family, and believers, welcome to my Facebook Live. All right. Give a moment for folks to come in, check my audio and everything, visuals. I was just looking. Okay, fine. Good. And I pray that everyone's day was well. Nice, beautiful day again. Sunday out on Long Island. And just a little recap. I think I was going over some videos before, and like 2 videos ago, I mentioned long money. Did I write that down? Long money. And I said, there's 250 families out of Europe who control the banking systems, and the IMF, and the World Bank, and all those world commissions, international commissions and stuff, that long money out of Europe, and 250 families. I said they were over an old Bethpage. I was wrong. Right behind me, that's Old Westbury, going back north, up to the North Hills. That whole area, that's old money. I was making the distinction between old money and new money. And it was, I said new money was like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates. That's new money. Those are billionaires and people put out front to make them think that they're the powerful and the wealthy. But behind the scenes, those controlling the dial on the interests and rates and exchanges, buying stations at the stock exchange, that's old money. Okay, that's clear. That's the 250 families out of Europe. And many of them live right up here in the North Hills. That's Old Westbury, right behind Westbury High School. You should drive up there sometimes. Go watch the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Yes, watch it. That's, what was his name that did Full Metal Jacket, Space Odyssey 2, Stanley Kubrick. Yes, that was a very insightful and powerful movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Eyes Wide Shut. That was about them secret societies, how to initiate people, set them up. It's all a play. And that mansion that you saw Tom Cruise going to, for the dude he met in the city, that he was a piano player, and he said, I'll invite you in. He gave him the password and stuff. That's how they operate. That actual castle physically was in Europe, but you see him getting on the Long Island Expressway and going up through the North Hills. Drive up there, past Old Westbury, you see that. But I had said Old Bethpage when I listened. Old Bethpage, that's out east. That's like the replica of historic colonial ways out here, but they really don't show the true nature of that either. It's not a good representation. We the best representation. All right, I started a little late today. Got about another minute. Something else I had to recap. And no, that's good. We here. The biggest room in the house is the room of improvement. And if you have any questions, chime in and let me know, and I will definitely answer it. Now, I'm mainly dealing with self-improvement. The biggest room in the house should be self-improvement. And improvement, there are many rooms, and the biggest one shouldn't be the lounge area where we gaming and playing games with life. And it should be where we're too comfortable in our lives. I'm speaking of Hempstead. Many of us living comfortable lives, and we watched others get affected around us, and there haven't been no crying pains, man. There haven't been nobody complaining, protesting, I'm losing my house, I'm losing my business, by an intentional purposeful, harmful devitalization by planners who mean it's no good. So when you improve yourself, that's weighing your life. That's taking all the bad things in your life in your left hand and weighing the good things in the right hand. You got to weigh those things. What's pulling me down? What's my compulsion? Why do I have these addictions? Why? Why am I attracted to flashy things? Why do I want materialistic things? Because the essence of life is really, its importance, and the key is happiness and being important. That's very key. It's not happiness, you see, that's the caveman, having fun destroying stuff. How in this country, when I remember the words, it said recreation. Recreation, that's what we be in school, we're learning and stuff, and it's recreation time. Listen to that, spell it out. Say it out. Say it out loud. It's spelled recreation, but recreation is W-R-E-C-K, recreation. Having fun and glee, destroying nature and stuff, and wildlife. And that's not happiness. That's folly. It's sport and play. Happiness is content and peace in what you're doing, and the joy of living your divine purpose. That's true happiness. There's nothing else beyond that. And spreading that to those around you. And even if you get your house in order, if your house get in order, think about your neighbors. I have a good brother of mine. I got to mention his name because he's a beautiful brother, elder mine, brother Clark, over on, is that Carolina? What's that street off of Barack Obama school? The street, Catherine, I think, parallel with Jerusalem. At the Barack Obama school, the north side of that street that goes all the way down to Henry. It's a brother lived over there, Elder Clark. Years ago, we was discussing improving the neighborhood. Man, I almost want to just bust out, man, grabbing up people, man, and all this injustice been done to us. This has been going on for decades. Back then, we were discussing how people were losing their homes. I remember his neighbor that was helping his other neighbors. I'm not going to say his name because he lost his home. And he had to move over to Uniondale. And he was helping his neighbor do the daggone, the underground oil tank underground. I remember they were digging up the whole yard. And I even offered. And he was like, "No, I got it, man. Thank you, Muhammad. I got it." He was helping his neighbor. Dig out the oil tank to reserve the heat and oil and stuff in his yard. And then he lost his house due to taxes. Further down the street, that whole street there used to be black. And with our people, man, beautiful families, up towards Jerusalem. Not Williams, the street parallel to Williams. Black families there, man, prosperous, living good life. And one by one, we just started losing the homes. And Mr. Clark lived at the end of that street, the one that runs parallel to Jerusalem, on the south side, the north side of Barack Obama school. And he was saying, okay, you fix up your house. He said, but look at this neighborhood around us, man. He said, I got money to fix up my house. And he was hooking up his house. He said, if I hook up my house, he said, I don't want my neighbor's raggedy, man, abandoned, the yard ain't kept up. He said, let's get together and let's help our neighbors build up their home, their yard. This is painful for us to do, most of us. I feel like people are taking advantage of us. They're using us. We do. Black people in Hempstead, we very selfish, many of us, very selfish, individualistic. We have that. And he said, once we hook up our neighbor's house, we remodel the house, improve it, get the yard up. He said that increases your property value. You could increase your property value if you stop them blood-sucking tax breaks to apartment owners, supermarkets, car dealerships that's sucking economic blood out of us, they raping the village with that theft. Over 20 million a year. And if we were a regular community, instead of have this overtaxed colony, we resemble a 17th century New England colony. The king of Britain, England, overtaxing us. That was the essence of the Tea Party in Boston. It said taxation without representation is tyranny. If everybody's house is looking polished, looking nice and decent, and a garden, growing more trees, gardens and everything, that increases your property value in that community. By being selfish, covering down, oh, I'm only concerned about myself. You could have a beautiful house, $1 million house. Guess whose property taxes you're going to be paying? The zombie home. Your neighbors is leaving, man. You're going to have a zombie house, and your neighbors is displaced. This has been happening in Hempstead. This is my passion, man. This is what angers me, man. This has a revolutionary fever in me. This is revolutionary energy in me to combat this. You have to be willing to sacrifice and change things, man. To force this into the people, to bring it into their focus that this is happening to you. In your neighborhood, this is physically happening. When the bulldozers come, they're going to knock out everything. 300 acres of downtown. Everything is gone. All your small businesses and homes. Well, that's the community we in that resembles a colony. So your house this is the temple. This is the mosque. This is the church. This is the house of the Lord. That Bob Marley so eloquently described in his song. God is a living man. That's us. Accept your own and be yourself. If you build, you selfish, you build up your house. Good for you, You got your children are blessed, overabundant, got toys everywhere. Your neighbors is suffering. Guess who toys they gonna steal? They gonna steal your toys, your children's toys. I witness it all the time. If you without, the children want, man. They want good things, and you got this high-priced stuff. You got to lock it up. They have a saying that my brother Arthur Barrett used to put this on his timeline a lot, and it says the village that outcasts the child and turns him into an orphan, out into the cold darkness, away from the tribe, away from the village, that orphan burns down the village to feel its warmth and light. When we improve ourselves, what is it for? What is the aim? That happiness should be holistic. It should be self first, then your family, then your community, then your block, then your neighborhood, then community, which is the total village. Selfishness is a bad thing. Selfishness is a fault. Selfishness is not a good characteristic of black people in Hempstead. We have made selfishness like a virtue. I remember a sister told me this outright. We were walking over the terrace, and we took a break. I was walking her from the Heights over the terrace. We took a break at the bus stop, the seat on North Franklin, the bus stop. And she just told me outright, I'm selfish. What's going a man need to do for me? And, we feel that's a virtue because we've been raised like that. Me, mine, mine. If you listen to the language, how we describe our families, I know I have family members who say, mama. You have siblings, about 6 of us, and the other sibling will be discussing to the other. One sibling will be discussing to the other sibling, their parents, and say, my mommy wants you. My daddy said this. My. This is selfishness, man. That happens to us a lot, man. Selfishness. And we feel like helping somebody else sometimes that's struggling. It's almost painful to us, almost like we're being robbed. You know, Master Muhammad talks about inhaling oxygen, and we rob the atmosphere. That's because your brain, how much did he rob the atmosphere? Breathing in like it was a pint of something air every time we inhale. And he gave us in the supreme wisdom the number of atoms we literally inhale. And the number of atoms in the atmosphere, how much it weighs. I think it's 11.6 quintillion tons, something like that. The Earth's atmosphere. It's always transforming. So in our neighborhoods, we are improving ourselves. It have to be collective. You know, you're doing lifting weights and exercising. Suppose you're eating good. That's good for your body. You know, that's good. But that's not for us to show out in our arrogance and our vanity. That's vanity. You know, vanity is something else. It have you spending a whole bunch of your money getting into debt to look good, to outdo the next person. You know, keeping up with the Joneses and stuff like that. That's an awful trap. I know my brother, he lived over, him and his brother, they lived in, by Queens Village, by Belmont Park, the racetrack, Belmont Raceway. I think it's Belmont Park Raceway. Over by the Cross Island. You know, in Queens Village, you're going down Hempstead Turnpike, and it turns directly into that. And they're doing some development over there too, a whole bunch. And when you cross right into the little neighborhood, right before the Long Island Railroad station, going towards Jamaica Avenue and the houses over there, brother is living with a relative. And one of the relatives had like a brand new car back then. This was a nice car. You know, it was a very nice car, brand new. And the brother was struggling, doing like part-time work, man, and coming up, going to school. He's a student going to school. So, you know, them part-time jobs to get you to school. And the people across the street were immigrants from the island and stuff. And they were just showing out for each other, man. Look what I got. It was hard. They practiced that hard. Caribbean immigrants, freshly here, getting a job, then the next one, practice keeping up with the Joneses a lot. And then practice a lot of frugality. A lot of Caribbean blacks practice pooling resources. Remember all them, what they call soucies? Putting the money together, get somebody up, somebody get a win. The next day, they would be right in them hotels. Well, it was far from there. On the Southern State Parkway, them hotels by JFK, across from JFK Airport, the Belt Parkway, Southern State, Cross Island, them hotels. They would meet there in the rooms. I used to go to them too, to those networking events, but some of them had what was called soucies. They do it in homes too. A lot of people from the islands kept that up. And it was, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, it was putting your money in a pot, and then somebody get the pot, and you keep putting money in, the next person get the pot, the next person. Some people said it was a pyramid scheme, but it was the fact that they do that more amongst themselves. Caribbean immigrants in Queens that I actually know. They know Long Island. It was heavy on, what am I telling you? It was heavy on Long Island. Uniondale. And the brother in a nice car would roll up to the house, and the neighbors across the street would be sitting on the porch, relaxing, and they would greet him. Hey, how's it going? Yeah. And then brother would roll up in his hoopty. He would get out the car, and they would hide behind the porch post. I'm wanting to see him, man. That's vanity, man. That's vanity, man. Why is the other person important and the other one not? Because of the car that they ride in. You don't know that person's status, economic status. You know, remember, what's that saying? Self-confidence is quiet, and weakness is loud. Remember Jay-Z? years ago. As a matter of fact, I was going to a networking thing that I'm talking about in Manhattan and Queens. We were doing it in Queens at them hotels I'm talking about in JFK. It was a networking, the decentralization of the deregulation of utilities, and this company was selling the services and getting new customers, bringing more people in to do it. I was a part of that. And I was with a brother who was being recruited in, and we were driving to Manhattan on the LIE, and that brother announced to us, on the LIE, and the brother announced to us, man, I gave Jay-Z knowledge. It was a brother. I think he was with the Nuwapians back then. Shah, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember his full name. I just called him Shah. And Jay-Z, initially, he was doing what? He did like one or two Conscience records when he first came out, doing hip-hop and stuff. And what did Jay-Z have? Well, he had on all that the sweatsuits and all the gold and fancy cars and all that stuff with that little money they got. If he was lucky to get money, them rappers back then in the 80s, they did not get their money in New York. And probably as New York goes, the nation goes. New York is the heartbeat of Black America. Excuse me. So, Jay-Z, when he was first on the hip-hop scene, which all of them were in the 80s, we all wanted the gold, the dope rope. We used to call it dope gold jewelry and stuff. Dope rope, truck jewelry and the sweatsuits. And we wanted the Dapper Don and outfits. Those were the flyest outfits out there. And we all wanted flashy, luxurious things that are value, that look like wealth. And Jay-Z, remember, he would wear a lot of jewelry and stuff. And now Jay-Z is worth buco cash. Jay-Z is the most popular, listened to musician in America. When they asked us, they did a survey. I was just looking at the survey. Now, that's my website, the cookbook. It's a survey on, that's right, it came down a Facebook timeline. And it was they did a survey of all the states across America. Who you listen to? Whose music do you listen to? And they went state by state. It was Jay-Z. That was the top. Drake was in a little places. But Jay-Z, and this is not hip-hop. I'm talking about music. This survey, they asked, who do you listen to musically? And it was Jay-Z was the number one listened to artist. And Jay-Z got all that money. And now, he don't dress like he used to. He don't have all that flashy stuff. Jay-Z, look at, he's conservative. And if he does wear some flash, if he does change his fashion, it's a statement. It's a political and social statement, Jay-Z. If he does wear something that's not regular, but it's maybe a little flashy, but it's instant to make a statement. Makes a fashion statement. And that's being confident. And you have so much money. Believe me, Dave Chappelle said that. He said, about why he rejected that money, that comedy, the Dave Chappelle show, offered him to sell out, to keep doing that coonery stuff and that. He didn't like doing that stuff. It didn't sit well with his spirit. A lot of them white boys on the set was mocking him. They offered him $50 million. He booked out of there. And he said, well, what's the difference between if I had $50 million and I had $10 million? When I go into the restaurant, I'm ordering what I like. I'm ordering what I usually eat, And, the other stuff is greed and vanity, keeping up with the Joneses and stuff. So self-improvement is not to impress anyone. When you're improving yourself, that's to strengthen you. And that strength should be towards our family, our block, our neighbors, our neighborhood and community. Vanity is something else. I remember back in it was elementary school. It was back in the 70s. I think it was only like about 7 brands of sneakers, I think, around the country. I'm not even sure. I don't remember. I wasn't all vain. We would talk about the Pro-Keds and the Converses, the Chuck Taylors. You could count the number of shoes in Hempstead that we were wearing on two hands. And what was the most popular one? Pro-Keds. Then the other things other than Pro-Keds, the cheaper sneakers that were available, we was getting from Robbins and TSS and all those stores, we call them skips. We call them skips. That meant cheap sneakers. But the Chuck Taylors was named after a basketball star. He really wasn't that, come on. I only knew him, I only heard of him from the sneaker. Why didn't they have Wilt Chamberlain? Why didn't they have, but that's when, that was the only person that a sneaker was named after for a long time. Then they started naming, the vanity in them sneakers came really with Dr. J. I think it was Dr. J was like one of the first athletes that had the Converse. Remember the Converse? I don't think it was an All-Star. It could have been. I know it was the high tops, and Dr. J had that licensing of his name on sneakers. And then later on, I believe, everybody know the story of Michael Jordan and stuff. But back in the 70s, it was only a few pair of sneakers, and if you didn't have the Pro-Keds, which we may have had one pair, and then somebody else, if you have lower income, you have the other skips or something. We wore jellies, karate slippers, all types of stuff. It was readily available for us in Hempstead. You could save up your little money and get something. So if you came to school and you had on them skips, I never forget this. This sister, she was mocking the other children. I got on Pro-Keds. And remember Eddie Murphy, I got ice cream and you don't? This sister was mocking the people with the skips. I got on Pro-Keds. And I never forget it because she was pissy, man. She must have peed in the bed and smelled like piss a lot in school. And that's a sign from Allah, man. You shouldn't be mocking people, making fun of people without checking yourself. The biggest room in the house is the room of improvement. And be careful, who we mocking. Why are you doing what you're doing, Because this America is it's got this narcotic in it, man. The education and the society and social climbing, what's good, what's bad, especially with black, I'm speaking specifically to black Americans in Hempstead. What's good, what's bad in a community, a neighborhood. And we think that the education, especially the public schools, most of us went to the public school. The majority of us, the bulk of us, went to them elementary schools, middle school, and the high school. And we were highly miseducated. And it didn't relate to us. The teachers were okay in the 70s, in the 60s and the 70s. Black teachers in the 70s. We had plenty of black teachers in the 70s. And you got all these white teachers. They shouldn't even have access to us, creating this inferiority complex. They don't relate to us. That's why they gentrifying Hempstead now. It resembles a colony. Black teachers with the knowledge itself. That school board lacked the knowledge itself. One brother on there with a conscience and one sister with a conscience, but they ain't got no voice coming out against this ignorance. Because they educated us to make it look like this is the way of life. This is the ladder you take for success. And you want to improve yourself, you do good. You be docile. You come get the star on your forehead. Be the teacher's pet. They miseducated us. Woodrow Wilson broke that down. Them secret societies always said, let's have an inferior class of servants. And you know that was aimed right at black people. Everything they did to us was in so-called inferior. They aimed us low. Public school, we learned about this white people, they lied to us. They lied to the whole country. They've been doing that ever since George Washington, Christopher Columbus, Henry Hudson, and Amerigo Vespucci discovered. They told that lie for them. We believed it. We went along right with it. Just like we do the Pledge of Allegiance. You should never pledge allegiance to that which isn't worthy of your allegiance. It's not a democracy, it's an oligarchy. Ran by oligarchs, plutocrats, and corporatists. that knowledge that they gave us, to thinking that you're getting something, is narcotic. Especially if you go to college and you get the certificate to certify you. Here's a certificate on the wall. You think you've made it. You celebrate it. You don't celebrate prosperity, trade, barter, our own monetary system, land, entrepreneurialism, acquiring a seaport, building an airport, banking institute. We don't applaud power. We applaud servicing. The so-called greater society is mainly Caucasians. See, he hides behind the institutions. And in those institutions of higher learning and the corporate, the corporations you apply for jobs, those corporate positions, you believe that that's success. And that's all we should strive for. We are mainly a pool of laborers and consumers. And it's a lot of vanity and selfishness in what we're doing. And in that educational system, you learn, but you're miseducated. So now you graduate, you celebrate this. You do it, just go on the timeline. This is graduation season. Prom, after the prom. This is graduation season. And that's all you're doing is celebrating being miseducated. And if you have the knowledge yourself, and then you go back into those institutions, so you're going with a mission. Like the Chinese, those nationalists come here right at Hofstra. They stay at the Avalon and the Metro 303 and the Allure and Mineola, them apartments around Adelphi, Hofstra, especially the Hofstra Business School. Them Chinese students come here on a mission. You don't have no mission. Your purpose is the self-aggrandizement. I got it. I made it. And you believe, we believe, that success is escapism. We practice escapism. James Brown may have a record title by that. Escapism. That's what we believe, that the grass is greener on white folks' side. If I get over there, I made it. If I go to, your ultimate aim would be to go to Garden City. And many black people don't even attempt to go there because you know you won't be accepted. You know you'll just stand out. But some of you want to. You tell how you moved into some of these other white areas. You believe that getting that closeness to Caucasians is success. When in fact, they keep us apart from them in their social equality because of how low down and dirty and diabolical they are. Anti-black and anti-nation. They don't want you to see their ways. That's why they keep separate from you. And they create that temptation, that forbiddenness, as a means for you to grind for it, for you to be interested in. What is it about them? I want to be a part of that. You know, when they keep you apart from social equality, you thinking, oh, I got in there, but then you find out it's a whole different party. Well, you don't find out because you're blind as hell. Going around and thinking that's success, that has gotten you somewhere. The biggest room in the house should be the room of improvement, and that's improving your house and your community. That's escapism. That's making us nomadic. You understand? You're off balance. You have no generational wealth. When you pass, and you educated, you got a corporate job somewhere. You pass, they may pay for your funeral. Don't you know corporations have insurance on you when you die, and they collect on it? You won't have a GoFundMe, but you have nothing to pass on to your children, hardly, except the wisdom, except the advice and instructions to go to school, get a job. You're going to school getting into debt to get something that ain't guaranteed, except for doing for yourself, building up your community, improving yourselves and your community to make it more of a paradise, which we have always done. When we left white folk, we built all black towns all across the country. They were prosperous. They were all raised. And the reason this continues, this cycle continues right now, where we have been displaced and gentrified in Harlem, Brooklyn, by the same investors, RXR, and Russian oligarchs, and now they're aiming at Hempstead. And we've been given a warning. We for 10 years, almost 12 years, almost 15 probably, about 12 years, we've been getting thorough warning that these people are bulldozing that whole downtown to make it a city town. Tom Swazi announced it. It's not for you. It's for students. From Malloy, and I went for the certificate program with computer graphics. Malloy, Hofstra, which don't employ, they get a tax break from Hempstead. They got our zip code, but they are not Hempstead. That's why they don't employ any of us in. Maybe one person, show them to them. Come on my timeline and announce all you high-paid Hofstra employees in Hempstead, black Hempstead. Adelphi, Thomas, they want all these people in these apartments. They're starting with 3,500. They're improving, they have devitalized us in Hempstead. They're going to vitalize it in improvement for others, but not for us. This is why we have to become nationalistic the way they are. It's so bad for us, the way how we colonize with our mind, and we think that getting the knowledge from him is the key to our success, when it further enslaves us and shackles our brain because we think we have arrived. We're being overtaxed, paying high interest rates on loans, car loans, house loans, credit card rates. They go by the zip codes. The food they send to us go by the zip codes. All them tax breaks and pilots are concentrated in Hempstead. All enabled by a sellout board that don't care because they're selfish. They only care about themselves. They see themselves being in the future of Hempstead, where poor black people and common black people and black homeowners won't be here. They'll be like this special pet because they're slaves mentally. A man that can't read is no better than a man that won't read, that refuses to read. We have to ask ourselves, why is going into the Hempstead public schools how come it doesn't relate to us? How come, we don't prosper after going through the school? How come it doesn't inspire us? All the graduates say, I can't wait to come back to help my community. Did you know that Cuba, under Fidel Castro, he founded medical school, free medical schools. And he invited black people in America. Minister Farrakhan was initiated that not exchange, because Cuban students didn't come here, but the agreement was that black American students would go to the fine medical schools in Cuba, and once we were educated as doctors, come back to the black communities in Cuba. That is nationalism. That's uplifting your community. That's improvement. Booker T. Washington said, cash your buckets where you are. And he thrived with them black farmers. George Washington Carver was a brilliant black man, scientist. He spoke to the plants and asked the plants their property, and Allah revealed to them the properties of plants. We could do that. The birds, the language of the birds, that electric sensory in fish. We got all those abilities if we would be ourselves and take a moment to focus and improve ourselves. Your thoughts is energy. This is why you shouldn't overthink, and we need to focus. You should always focus as best you can. Remarkable things that happen to you. It's called imagination. That an action verb at the end, that shun, like action, and like vacation. To vacate something is to leave, but the vacation is you leave going somewhere. That imagination, well, the imagery, that's your brain, that's the thoughts. That's a valuable energy. You shouldn't play with your thinking. You should focus your thoughts. You shouldn't. That's what stress is, and stress and depression. Your thoughts are just focused at the worst, and if they're different thoughts that you speaking yourself to. You're composing your thoughts, and you're saying that I can't get out of this, I can't overcome this obstacle. To hell with it, I'm gonna go relax. So you put on music, you mute yourself, you drink, you use drugs, you smoke, you're gluttonous. I'm on a fast now, cleaning myself out. I'm 195 pounds. I just did my physical the other. I'm overweight. I may not look well. I'm fasting right now. This is like the second day. I'm gonna eat tonight. It depends. That's the way fasting is. Could you imagine you when you How to Eat to Live by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has us selective with food and drink. And when you eat one meal a day for decades, and it just take like a year. 1 year will change your life. Your face will change. You have a glow. You have a spiritual glow. Your eyes change. Your hair texture changes. You become more refined in your features. When you submit your will to do the will of Allah under Master Fard Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and their man in our midst, who's returning to them very soon. Minister Farrakhan. That's a good spirit. It's the most beautiful thing you could be, Islam. When you love yourself, you take care of yourself. And you see that you're responsible for this vessel. This is the house. The biggest room of improvement is connecting your heart to your mind. Imagine you decide when you're going to eat after like 30 hours, 40 hours. I may not eat. You got to get out of, what is the purpose of nourishment? They miseducated us. They malnourished us. Them GMOs and everything, and this junk food and comfort food, we ate that. When our diets early on, I got to go through it again. Slave food. That's why I wrote that book, Muslim Cooking with Muhammad. That's a complement to How to Eat to Live, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live, books 1 and 2. Get those books. And then get my cookbook, Muslim Cooking with Muhammad. If you want a personally signed copy, I will inbox me. And I'll send it to you for like $25. And I'll put the sign because it's an NFT also. It's going to be very valuable. It already is, but I'm just saying it's going to be worth more. You decide when and what you're going to eat. You got to start weighing things. Put the bad things in your left hand, this world food, the junk food, the GMOs, and this malnourishment, and put the good things in there. Navy beans, 1 meal a day. You make the navy bean soup, or you can even incorporate navy beans in other foods. Meatless patties. I got the recipes in the book for meatless patties. I have the navy bean. I have navy bean samosas. That's one of my favorite recipes. It's complex. It's one of the most complex, but it's worth it. It's the fish, the whiting, and the navy bean, and the samosas. But the sauce has the ratas sauce. That's from India to East, the Indian and East. Eastern Indian food. You start selecting food, man, which has the most nutritional value. Eating 1 meal a day, everything will change for you, man. You start saving money, losing fat, losing weight. And when you fast, your thoughts become clear. But you have to eat the navy bean because it has those amino acids. It's like, I think 9 amino acids in the navy bean. And once you put those in you, your body completes the rest to give you complete amino acids. That's survival. That's how you survive the most with the navy bean. The navy beans are deep mineral. The navy beans are deep mineral. It's like, how some trees are hollow trees, thin trees, flexible trees, but you go to the motherland, Africa, what they have, the mahogany and the ebony tree. Them things is like rocks because they got all the minerals. The minerals from the ground come directly into the tree to make up the substance. That's a hard wood. And when you start eating better, thinking better, that helps you fulfill your purpose. food is a nutrient. It's nutrient, but it's also your medicine. It's medicine that'll keep you here or take you away. Eat one meal a day, a navy bean, all fruits, and that one meal a day should be within a 2-hour range, ideally between like 4 and 6 o'clock. And you'll like that good food. Once you start eating good food, we've been so what is that called? The MSG. They've been using flavorings. These food manufacturers are scientists in laboratories. Them, the food manufacturers, they make and study food science and sense and taste in labs as they start making processing chips. Why do you think potato chips so addictive? Why do you think ice cream is so addictive? Breakfast cereal. Kellogg's even admitted, one of them scientists even admitted, we make it addictive. It's stuff they put in there. They want it to be addictive. And obesity is when you consuming matter, a food matter that lacks nutrients. So if it lacks nutrients, your body is calling for nutrients to give you the energy to get through the day. Which fasting is osmosis. That's using your own body cells. Feeding off your own body cells. That's reserve. And then after you lose reserves, osmosis keeps you going. That's getting water out of the air, moisture out of the air, nutrients out of the air. But that's a whole nother podcast. But it's best to get organic, simple, whole foods. I'm not promoting whole food Amazon. I'm talking about whole food from your garden, from local gardens. Milk from local cows that have been shown some love. Even the chickens. We shouldn't eat meat anyway. I'm talking about the milk from the cow for a little dairy. Some people don't eat dairy. Good for you. But some of us that do, it ain't harmful if you eat one meal a day and you're fasting and you're thinking right and you're improving yourself and you're active. That's why I fasted today. I went to my annual physical, hit on the scale. I haven't been on a scale in a while, but I saw a little weight around my waist, and it was 195. I said, "Oh no, that's overweight. I'm supposed to be 175. I'm 6'1". Yeah, it's on this phone, my portal, that Northwell portal, that have all my results, and one was bad. I had one red flag, and that was my LDL cholesterol. My LDL cholesterol, I think, is high because it's counterintuitive. I think HDL should be low and your LDL should be high, something like that. But I know they're counterintuitive. You would think, low cholesterol, we keep it low, high cholesterol, let me keep it high. But that's, got to eat more coconut oil, raw coconut oil, more raw olive oil, and fast. That's what I'm doing now. If I took that, I would have to go on a 5-day fast. I would need 3 more days. This is 2, so I would need 3 more days, which I've done. I've done 2 5-day fasts. You get to the point in fasting, it's called osmosis, where it's your thoughts that carry. It's that spiritual energy. You got spiritual atoms in you in the brain. Original people got 7.5 ounces of spiritual atoms. And the Caucasian got 6. Their scientists study this. But you think their secret societies are teaching them of your potential and how to block your potential. You ever see something that's operating and you send in what is that, an EPM, electromagnetic pulse, to shut down the electronics of something? Well, we're spiritual people. So they have spiritual pulses. They have things in the society that block our spiritual connections, like these cell phones and all of these. So you're relying on the cell phone, so you won't even try to use your mental communications with each other. You have it, especially twins. They prove it all the time. Twins. It's always shown in twins. You can talk to some twins in a different room especially mother and children, a mother and a special son, that mother, she knows. Why you think she'd be saying something's wrong? A lot of mothers don't have fathers and bond very highly with the son, make him a mama's boy. When he gets in danger, she knows. That's the connection. And imagine if we didn't have all this interference. It's spiritual interference. That's how they robbed us in church. Church supposed to improve us. It's worse now. Black churches in Hempstead are supporting the devitalization and gentrification of us, making us more nomadic, scattered about, weak, no generational wealth. Just a bigger pool of poor laborers and consumers. So they don't have the right knowledge, the heart not connected to the mind. You know? That's why we need the right knowledge, and we need to teach this. And I'm saying this need to be in our schools where we discuss this. You got to have critical thinking. There's no critical thinking in schools. Oh, shut up, be quiet. Especially young black boys, little black boys that don't relate to them teachers and that curriculum. That's dumbing them down. They drug them unwritten. So he's too hyper, but he has ADHD, has attention deficit syndrome, whatever that's called. They say he doesn't pay attention because you're boring as hell. You irrelevant as hell. You anti-black as hell. You don't speak into his soul and his spirit. You got spiritual blockers on you. You done sent a pulse, a spiritual blocking pulse, a spiritual impeding pulse. Everything operates off of pulses. The universe not linear, it's pulsating. This foot, when the Caucasian looked at us, I'll be quick with this, because I want to get back to us sacrifice that it takes in improvement. The universe, the Caucasian says, oh, I look up at the universe, the furthest I could see light is, I counted, and I think it's like 14 billion years ago. So the universe was the Big Bang, it's blown out, it's going one way, and that was 14 billion years ago, and the Earth is like 4.6 billion years ago. That is one pulse. Everything is in cycles. The universe is trillions of years. Oh, don't you know, I think that's in Unis pyramid, the hieroglyphs. He speaks of trillions. There's only one people on the planet with that teaching in the lessons. That was the lessons Master Fard Muhammad gave to all his supreme ministers. And it was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad who answered the questions. That answering those questions is the supreme wisdom. And we speak of trillions. Earth is 76 trillion. Yeah, the universe is 76 trillion years old. Then we go into some say 78. Some count from that. But I'm just giving you a ballpark figure of the scope that's way beyond what Caucasians have put to us, because that 6 ounces of brain is operating. It's logical. If it's linear, and things don't move linear, they move in pulses. Everything does. The galaxy is pulsing. The Earth is pulsing. We don't form a perfect circle around the sun. The sun is pulsing. The sun is orbiting. The sun is in a galactic arm. The Earth is spinning around the sun. The moon is orbiting around us. All of us are intertwined. And we are in one pulse. One pulse is like 14 billion. Well, it's going to contract. It expands and contracts. Then there are universes. And the Quran, Allah says, I'm Lord of the universes. So it's way more to us out in the universe, and it's shaped like an egg. I think it's 76 quintillion miles, the diameter of the sphere of the universe of light. Light is only what you use in darkness that counts. And when we build on light and we start improving ourselves, when you dig into the deepness of yourself, that light, you'll see it in others. That was what I was going to say. Like, what is useful in the universe? What is useful to you? It's light. We are social beings. Man, we are made in Allah's image. And how do you see Allah? Look in the other human being. Stop trying to look in the mirror and think that that's it. And then looking at your phone, looking at TV, thinking that that's it. It's a whole universe in your brothers and sisters. But how do you get a deeper look? Improving. Self-improvement. And you got to sacrifice. See, but we think that sacrifice is us losing. Who's going to gain? I don't care about them. Some people cuss their children out. We have a ritual in Hempstead. Sadly, amongst a lot I know. Yeah, it was a lot. It's a ritual of casting out your children. We don't have those givers. We don't take our, like Rothschild took his sons, sent him to different countries, to conquer the country, to set up banking systems. Those who print your money rule. Those who write the laws don't. That's the same Amos Rothschild made. I don't care who make the laws. I print the money. I run that nation. Send his sons on mission to conquer nations. Where do we send our children? School to get a job. When you get the job or you got the certificate, we celebrate it. We need to send them off with a gift. You have to gift your children off to expand what you have improved, what you're building. We cannot lose this mindset. We cannot lose our drive for industrialism, nationalism, and creativity. When has the last sport been? You need to reinvent sports. I'm not saying we should focus on sports, but in our industrialness, we start doing industrial things. We in school, our own schools. We take control of them, start getting creative thinking, start raising questions. And in those schools, you got to stimulate creativity. Everybody can't be in a rat race. Everybody just can't be 9 to 5 and stuff. You got to take our resources and focus it towards creating a generation that will be more creative. Come out with new clothes. We'll come out with our own culture. Saying, look, this is going to be black culture. This is the result of us from being native people here, from being stolen from Africa, mainly West Africa. Even some of these, they stole some of us from the East also. A lot of architects and building the Moors. A lot of brought us over under like contract. A handful to do specific things, major things in America. The navigator with Columbus was a Moor. Showed them everything. And when you get that creativeness, create new ways of doing things. We can't fathom this. You see your child doing stuff, people mock creative people. Eccentric people in our community. And it's just, I'll tell you about the broke head and the sneakers material. Oh, I got better than you because somebody else designed it in China. Some cheap ass $5 to $10 rubber synthetic sneaker. They're selling for $100, $200, even more. Easily you buy some sneakers for $100 and some change. Creating new type clothing. You have to stir it. You have to focus on that and nothing else. Creating new sports that reflect our culture and our nature as God, original people, black, proud dignity, with our heritage and legacy of greatness. Do you know who Kamos was? He's a great conquering pharaoh, represented black power. Do you know who Candace was? We don't even know our West African. That's our people over in the East. And we 50,000 years ago, we went to West Asia, which is so-called West Africa. We had great kings and queens there. Some of the greatest in the world. The world's most richest man was Mansa Musa, an African king. His brother, Akbar, sailed over here. He never went back. I think Ramses III went back after he traveled over here in boats. We have to teach this, that's our legacy, that's what we're a part of. That's a chain of events. That's our origin and source. We're original people of the planet Earth. We come from original black people that were a global people, had a global civilization that made all of mankind. All mankind mean kind of man. Original man is God. Even the devil. Sometimes you hear me say the white man is the devil, or you hear us say the devil, that devil. Well, a devil is anything grafted from original. A devil is anything grafted from original. And the Caucasian was grafted 6,000 years ago. All that, the Semites and original people mixing with Caucasians, the Caucasians that invaded the Indus Valley and the Nile Valley became Semites. The Semites, the Arabs, and black people going up in Europe, returning to Europe. That were originally black, Cheddar Man, Cro-Magnon, Cromaldi. That's black people. Black people going up into Europe, Caucasus, Europe, mixing, became the so-called Jews. That was us. The children of Israel did go there, and they came here too. We need to discuss this in class. Show and prove it. Let's go on studies. Dig and send your children on archaeological, sites to search for things like this. Send them to Palang. We could do things like this. Start creating new ways of searching for doing things. Create that, and that heritage, that's something to live up to. That's something to be proud of. We are detached. We have like cultural amnesia, historical amnesia. It's gone from us. When it's presented to us, it's like a foreign language, like something alien that we detach from, because we've been taught that we were niggers and Negroes in this country. Talking about native black people in this country under white supremacy for hundreds of years. Were robbed of everything, and then reemerged, come to find out that we the original God, and this man has been a hellraiser for 6,000 years. Create new ways of doing things for ourselves. We take all our energy and we give it to corporations. We throw it away. George Washington Carver said, no way I'm giving that. I think it was not Henry Ford, I think it was Edison that offered, yes, I believe it was Thomas Edison that offered George Washington Carver a position. And he was going to rob him and stuff, same way he did Lewis Latimer. I believe it was. I don't think it was Henry Ford. And George Washington Carver said, no, I'm staying with my people. I'm developing. He used his creativity to help black farmers. That was Booker T at Tuskegee Institute, helping black farmers come up with new ways to rotate crops and stuff like that. Now imagine that back there in the pre-industrial age. Well, it was always industrial to us. It was industrial to Caucasian when they got the jobs in the factories. But we was working the plantations and the mills and building everything. We built the country. So that's why America has the largest gold reserve in the world. It's stolen, it's 8,100 tons of gold. A ton is 2,000 pounds. See, a full-size car is like 2 tons, 3,000 something pounds. That's almost 2 tons. 2 tons is 4,000 pounds. America possessed 1,100 tons of gold. And they owe each of us 500 ounces. I'll take mine in a 400-ounce bar. That's a 20, that's the trait, that's the one you see in the mint. That gold bar, that's the 400-ounce bar. It's like 20 pounds. Clap that down, and I'll take another 100 ounces in platinum. And we could create plenty of things. if we focused on it and stop giving our energy to helping new ways to build corporations that suck all the blood out of us. Come up with new games. Remember all that hide and seek and the jacks, and remember all those games we used to play? We don't play them games no more. They do the hide and seek and stuff. They don't play like they used to. They not only make it interesting doing it, but come up with new actual games and stuff. New clothing. New material. You understand where I'm going with this. New industry. You can create almost anything today with a 3D printer out of polymer with a 3D printer. And then a CNN machine. You start designing stuff. Train your children in CAD and design. And give them something to build, something to protect, a legacy, something strong. Black origination. Because everything we build now is being taken away. Essentially, it's the same cycle. We keep going up and down with the Democrat-Republican Party. They're playing us. They purposely. They just want all your energy towards the party. The Democrats and Republicans are a duopoly. Both of them agree that it's y'all turn now. It'll be out. That's why they're not getting rid of the filibuster. Because they know they got to use it next, man. They're gaming us. It's the same corporations giving them financing their candidates. And both of them team up together to come against us creating generational wealth. Democrats and Republicans team up automatically again to gentrify us, gentrification. Everyone does. Foreigners, immigrants, bankers, Democrats, Republicans, they all agree. Let's keep Native Black Americans a permanent underclass. And we cooperate with them, but our sellouts. But I'm tired of talking about that, man. I'd rather get back to some creative juices, man. Improving the self. But we got to have something to fight for. What is your purpose? You know, you got to sacrifice things that you want in life. Those are vanities. Who you impressing? You ain't even going to be in Hempstead. We're losing all the homes, businesses. Are you planning for... I've been warning everybody that I can. Every time I come on here, you hear me talking about you're going to lose your businesses, your homes and stuff. Are you preparing after you hear that? Are you prepared to resettle your business because you're not welcome back? It's gonna be like Garden City. Tom Swazi and this idiot Wayne Hall said that. Wayne Hall said Hempstead is gonna be like, it's gonna be one town. It's gonna be one connected entity. Garden City, Hempstead, and Rockville Center. He wanted a straight, said he don't want it. He's a sellout, a puppet. Swazi and the oligarchs and planners who keep us a permanent underclass, which you stooges. He announced that Swazi said the same thing. I wanted a college town. We're going from Garden City to here to Rockville Center. And it will be that same outlook. You got businesses in Rockville Center? Black barbershops and beauty salons. In Garden City? That's who's going to be here. They already showed you where they were going with the Metro 303 and the Doubleday. And the Country Life Express. It's just playing us, man. We're hurting ourselves, trusting these people, and not going into our own ingenuity. Not looking at our own house and seeing how can we improve ourselves. Come up with new vehicles, man. Not even beyond electric. Running off air and water. New means of transportation, new way of building houses. New way of dealing with pollution. We do this, we focus. We start getting labs, buildings, and factories. How you gonna do it if you're supporting these damn sellouts? Ready to bulldoze the whole 300-acre downtown. and you have nothing, no end. You have saying the black clergy in Hempstead, that sellout clergy, that Negro clergy, support. They want to be included. They want to be a showcase. Remind me of the daggone, you know how you got service dogs, you got purpose dogs, like and you got guard dogs, you got attack dogs, you got canines. Them Negro preachers are show dogs. That's the ones with the fluffy tails and they bouncing around, being bounced around the dog show, the kennel show, showing out. That's all you are. No, nothing substance to you. You want nothing. You desire nothing. You only want a piece of what your enemy and your oppressor and your master give you. You should be standing up. Where's the Spanish, the Latino organization supporting? Most of them businesses is going to be Spanish, Latina, whatever you like to call yourself. Some of you say Latina, some of you say Spanish. I say Native Indigenous, but many of you don't relate to that. Some of you relate to original Native Indigenous people. Most of you want to be white. When that census form, you check Hispanic, white. That's why the question is Hispanic, is it regular Hispanic or white? You know the option they have there. And you go talk to some Spanish, so-called Spanish. They may want to go back to their native country, but where do you go to vacation? You want to go to Spain and Portugal for damn vacations. For the home of your colonizer. Instead of the Olmec, the Aztec, the Mayan, Peru, the Inca, visiting your ancient sites and seeing, connecting yourself. Some of you do, but most don't. We are you organizations, and these are white Hispanics and stuff. They want to be white because they see it's a good deal. America's a mountain of gold, 8,100 tons, all stolen. Stolen land and stole us to build the land. Then it trickle out little crumbs, and you all want some of the crumbs. You've come into the crime scene in America. It's not a land of opportunity. It's a crime scene with stolen goods. You in a stolen man house. Some man done did a home invasion, going in another man's house, got all of his goods, done took the man, made him produce more goods for me in your house, and come in your house, stole everything. That's in the Hempstead Village backdrop. That was Reverend Fordham swiping land. 1643, I think it was. Swipe, tricking. No native people, no king, no ruler, no emperor, no native indigenous leader had the right to give away land. It's sacred. It's gifted to us in grace. And because we've lost our gratitude and our sense of connection and oneness to Allah, He let a bandit in and a plunderer come and kick in the door in your house with stolen goods. And then here you are, you across the street, poor. He done rob you. His brother done rob you. His brother speaks Spanish, robbed you. Took everything from you. And now here you go, you're going to leave your little house that you got robbed in, and you're going to come into a big house. Oh man, look at all the gold in there. He says, yeah, you can come in the big house. You just got to help me subdue the person, the owner, the previous owner I took it from, and I give you a piece. You're all crooks. There's no opportunity here. That was all glitter. That was all deception. That was no more clear, open, and square than that mural on the back of Hempstead Village Hall of a land swipe 300 years ago. And they celebrate 375 years of Hempstead. Will you include the land swipe? Sad how we are. But the biggest house in the room is a room of improvement. And we can do it. And that's where I'm aiming now. You know, I'm going to cut this short today. It was at 8:19. It's a beautiful Sunday. But that's what I had to say about us improving ourselves. You know, study, read good books, read nutrition, get a coach, get a life coach. Get some therapy. Some of us traumatized, man. Don't want to face our pain. We escape. We want to escape the pain. If you never address it, if you never put in your left hand your faults and your good attributes in your right hand and start weighing them and see how does this affect me, what is going to be the outcome of this, you won't do anything else. What you do is, why? Why do you want success? Why do you want a car? Why do you, that escapism? We have to stop that. And self-improvement is building a paradise where we are. And we should call it paradise. We should literally call the redevelopment, after we get compensation, paradise. Get the sports team. Get rid of that selfish tiger. We love tigers. Oh, sneaky, individualistic. He bad in his fight, in his ways, when he pounces. And when he jump in the air towards something, he can move in the air. Michael Jordan got that ability. A tiger is bad because he is so muscular and vicious with his mouth, but he by himself. But he's hiding in the tall grass. When he go after something and he jump at you, if you are, they showed a man in India, but I think it was the east near India, on an elephant, and he had like a stick or a sword. It could have been a sword or a machete. I think it's like a stick or something. And the tiger was hiding in the tall grass, and he was offended by the presence of these men on the elephants. And the one man had the stick and purging the head, and that tiger came up out the tall grass and jumped at him. And as he jumped at him, the man swung at the tiger. In midair, that tiger dipped that swing, and then he dipped the swing in air, and then extended back out and grabbed the man. He didn't get a good tug on him, but he did stuff him up. He got him back. Well, he got him. He didn't kill him, but he mangled something. That's the ability of a tiger. Let's get a pride of lions, man. That represents our heritage, our originality. That's teamwork. That's the king of the Serengeti. The Lion of Judah. Grand things, great things. Pride of the lion, everybody eat. You got to elbow people out the way, snarl and growl, but everybody eat. When the buffalo go down, everybody of that lion pride eat. This is the way we got to think, man. Got to think new. Got to think empowering. Got to think grandness, greatness. That's why Master Father Muhammad gave us those big numbers. Billions, and quadrillion, sextrillion, quadrillion. He weighed the state of Michigan. Named every last atom in the atmosphere. And then weighed the atmosphere. I think it's 11.6 quintillion pounds. Weighed the earth. Measured the earth. 26, approximately 26,000 miles is the diameter of the earth. And the distance from the earth is 93 million, 93 million miles from the sun. 93 million miles from the sun. He named all the planets. And those big numbers will get us used to dealing with big numbers. Millions of acres, million square cubic water, the pints of this, and measuring huge numbers to prepare us to control where we are in the country and then have international relationships. But how are you going to have international relationships if we're sitting up here? We keep trying to get escapism into some hostile community that tolerates you. They see now they just can't attack us like they used to. Some fool will come up out of nowhere. You'll see them. They've always had this for us. But when we want to improve ourselves, study, and have noble, grand things to aim for, everything falls in place. And it's right in us. Let me see if there's any questions here. I don't see any questions here. But basically, that room of improvement is what is your purpose for improving yourself? Is it vanity or is it collective? We got to get back towards collective, extended family. That's been the key. Everybody who's had their solving problems, we got to focus on a breadth force of mental health counselors that deal with our generational trauma. I believe her name is Joy the girl, something like that. Good sister deals with their trauma from slavery that's passed down to us. That stuff goes into your DNA. You got to deal with health, nutrition, and stop all this greedy, compulsive, basically raping the earth. We take the resources from the earth. The earth gives you her resources. But when you abuse it, you're raping, you're selfish, and you're hoarding. You do injustice, you're imbalance. We built the great pyramids to balance the earth. And when we put the right portions and things amongst ourselves, it balances us. Being in positive relationships, how we think of ourselves. We got to focus the mind on grand things. Because that energy, that thought energy I was discussing, it diminishes over time. Like at the minute, Joe Biden, he's demented. I'd be surprised if he makes it past December. He on that medication so bad, I think he's going to say nigga to somebody. He may get a flashback talking to Charlemagne God. He says, you vote for Trump, you ain't black. He may say something like, vote for me and you be my nigga. That medication to do that, man. Stuff that's in you that's brewing underneath, medication to bring it out. Well, we got some medication. Islam. Islam is the pure stuff, the good stuff. Start exercising, eating better, studying, reading, sitting upright. Sit upright, sitting right. Go look at our brother Rizza Islam. That brother erect. That brother always he stand up straight, he talk straight, and that helps you win. That helps you that clears your it straightens your spine and it clears your diaphragm. It's the way you speak a deep, nice, long breath. You should take deep breaths, real long, deep breaths. Practice that. Touch your diaphragm. That's where that air compresses, and that can put dizzy Gillespie and a lot of those John Coltrane, all those great horn players, the wind instruments, period. But them horn players like them, with Dizzy Gillespie, and he had a second storage. Not only did he have the compression in his diaphragm to hold that air down there at the bottom of the lung, and then use that diaphragm and that energy, he stored some in his cheeks. And he would and he would go back and forth, and he would refill his cheeks and blow. But all that air should flow erect from you. And when you stand up straight, you inhale a finer mist of air. Your outlook is better when you're standing up straight, looking up. Keep your head up. Remember Tupac, keep your head up. Keep your eyes open. And in fact, keep your fighting stance up and keep your eyes on your enemy. Because the greatest enemy is within. It comes right from your family. Jesus said that. And we building families. And about the best thing of improvement, I would say is, after improvement is to be humble with it, humility. That's real power. I was speaking about Jay-Z, how he first got that oil money young, out in Brooklyn, didn't have money. Now all that money come to you, but then when you get so much money, it don't matter. You don't even want it no more. You realize the path that you took, and you wish that, you could do things behind the scenes. It didn't have to be out in front so much. You wish you could just walk. So Michael Jackson used to do that, get in disguises. Michael Jackson was brilliant, man. He was an angel. He wore that mask to block the chemtrail and other pollutants in the air. Well, they say the weakest person is the loudest person. And the person with the most self-confidence is quiet, behind the scenes making it happen. Assured, you sacrifice grand things, flashy clothes, to invest in your children, to get things for them, to set up a future for them. But it just can't be going in. We got to boycott the school system or something, y'all. That's the only solution. And creating our own, take that money, do a property tax strike boycott, and do a school tax strike boycott. And literally boycott that school, take all that money and re-educate our own. You will never improve yourself and your house relying on our enemy and oppressor and their stooges to do it. All right, that's all I have to say, family. I pray that your Sunday goes well the rest of the evening. I pray that your grace and Allah continues to grace, bless, and protect us. I leave you as I greeted you in ancient Arabic words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.